Agent Hask, I'm in position.
Understood, Commander. Prepare for extraction.
3, 2, 1.
Serious business.
Oh, that's right. Yes, it is.
Because last time Sam came on my channel, everyone fucking hated him.
Everyone loved it.
Everyone's like, this guy is the worst.
You should have seen all the comments. It was just like, this guy is
savage. Yeah, that was the
second
highest,
Jesus coming.
One of the highest dislike ratios on any video I've ever had.
That was actually true.
It's actually
every
true.
second comment
was like, we fucking hate this guy.
Sucks.
So, ladies and gentlemen,
I'm back.
Today we're here to talk about Star Wars Battlefront 2. Now, let's get this out of the way first. I hate the microtransaction system that currently exists in Star Wars Battlefront 2. I think it's terrible. EA has promised some improvements. I'm not exactly sure how they're going to play out yet. We'll see how it lands, but absolutely pay to win. It's completely chance-based. It's a tremendous grind to be able to unlock stuff. It's not a great start for that franchise. And they made huge inroads, by the way, by removing DLC map packs. Now, when you buy the game, all the maps are going to be free for the life of the game. So that's awesome. Really have to give EA props for that. But absolutely have to say that the way that they have managed the loot boxes and the pay-to-win nature of the multiplayer game completely blows. But the other side of the game is a single-player game. And that's actually the part that I'm most excited about, because it's been many, many years since we've had a proper good single-player Star Wars game. I think the last one, realistically, was KOTOR 2, maybe? Knights of the Old Republic 2. I can't think of another one since then. Star Wars The Old Republic was a really good single-player MMO. The MMO components weren't great, but the story and the world and all that sort of stuff was actually excellent. So we've been waiting for a good single-player Star Wars game for a while. This has come along. I didn't get the chance to play it today because I had to work, but my brother did go along. He played it, he went hands-on with it, he caught a whole bunch of footage, and he also interviewed one of the producers of the game, the producer.
He was the head producer.
He was the head producer.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Head producer in the game
from Motive Studios.
From Motive Studios, who actually have they're the ones. So DICE have developed the broader game, and Motive Studios have developed the single-player campaign. So I really want to hear like what it's like, and what are your thoughts on it, and what kind of. So is this so far? Well, from what you've seen, is it the kind of experience that you'd be like, yes, that is delivering, or is it a bit like?
Well, like I walked in not too sure because we did play it at E3. It was multiplayer when we played it at E3. Yep. But firstly, the mechanics already felt good. It was already really promising compared to what we played from Battlefront 1.
Because the mechanics in Battlefront 1 had these terrible weapon recoil. It was just
basic.
Awful.
It was almost a step back from the old Battlefront.
It was absolutely a step back.
Yeah, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it was
definitely.
totally right. So I did walk in with a little bit of a reservation in terms of, well, are they putting a single player into it just to entice some people, but maybe they're going to have a similar attitude to the first one. But I sat down and I was actually very pleasantly surprised for a number of reasons. Number one,
pause. This is your spoiler warning. If you don't want any spoilers, turn off now,
if you don't want any
we're going to
spoilers,
spoil some stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
This is in the middle of. This is just after Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. So you pretty much start the story just before the Death Star explodes. And it kind of just starts just before that. And it's interesting because you're actually playing it from the Empire's point of view. So it's nice to see that you're not just kind of part of this the rebellion, and you just see them as these evil people that have no real emotions, like you kind of get to see a bit more of a human side to the Empire. Firstly, I found that the energy of it was so intact with the Return of the Jedi feeling. Like it felt like you were just after those movies. It just had a feeling like it was so true to those movies. It had its own lifeblood, like it had its own life force in terms of it did
life force.
Did
it have midi-chlorians though, Sam? Never mention the midi-chlorians.
Never. And it felt really good. Like it felt like it was something that I was really interested in. Maybe because I was a Star Wars fan, but also because each cutscene felt very polished. You felt engaged. You wanted to know about the story. You know how you play so many games these days, and you're like, okay, fuck, whatever, get away from this cutscene. You were invested in the characters. You were invested in what happens after that, after the Death Star is blown up. You find yourself on Endor, and then you start slowly going through the campaign. I won't go too much into the campaign, but I was very pleasantly surprised. I think anyone that's going to be playing that game is going to be like, wow, this is actually a really great way of telling the story between The Force Awakens and The Return of the Jedi.
Tell them about the part about Palpatine.
Are we going to tell them that?
Yeah, we'll spoil this bit. Because
Okay.
we said there's
Another
a spoilers warning.
Really cool way of see, this is what I mean. The life energy of Return of the Jedi is still there, because it's in a cutscene you're actually you're talking to one of the Empire. You're talking to one of your commanders, and a robot turns around, and it's like this robot face of Emperor Palpatine dishing out his final orders. So it's like they want to carry out his final orders, which is really cool.
That is pretty cool.
It's
I love that
really cool
idea.
concept. It's kind of like he's still the bad guy, and the energy's still there, and it's like, okay, this is kind of it's all very much intact, but it has its own identity, which I really liked. Now, what I did feel is that I wouldn't go back for more, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like I kind of want to go on that journey once. I want to play through it, see how the story unfolds, go on that journey. I didn't feel like it was going to have a huge amount of replayability. But maybe
you
I
asked,
haven't.
and you asked the developer about
I
it
did.
as well.
Yes, I did. I was going to go on to say that I did ask the developer about that. He said there were some Easter eggs there. I don't think I'm going to go back for more. I think it's a situation where you experience it once.
Yeah.
You kind of enjoy that journey. You understand where you kind of fill in the gaps between that. Is it 30 years, 40 years?
I don't know.
Something like that, right? You kind of understand what happened in those 30 years, and I don't think that I'll go back for more. Numerous reasons, as I said.
But there's no new game plus. There's no adjustable difficulty levels. It's just
No, there is
here's the
adjustable.
kit.
Yes,
Oh,
there
there are
is.
difficulty
Yes, there
levels.
is.
Okay,
Yes,
cool.
there is. But I don't think that's a reason for anyone really to go back for more.
I don't know, a lot of people actually really get off on that. They love.
I mean,
high
maybe you
difficulty
would, but
levels.
I found it was reasonably difficult. I probably played for about 2 hours. I died about 40 times. No, I'm joking. I died about 3 or 4 times throughout the whole time.
So tell me this. What I want from this game is I want an experience that's basically just a really cool Star Wars story.
It definitely feels like
with
that.
some decent action. Like, I don't need the best action. What I really care about is an awesome story
It's
and
more
awesome
than that.
moments.
It's actually more than that for me. Like, when I was playing, I was like, this is more than just like an add-on to the Star Wars world. It really felt like it was fleshed out. I spoke with when I was having the interview with good old Dave, he was saying to me that he actually had a very intimate relationship with Lucasfilms.
Intimate, eh?
Intimate, very. No, in terms of creating the story together, he actually said that he had a lot of creative license. He was able to put a lot of ideas forward and said, look, we like this idea, what do you guys think? So, I mean, I thought that they would be a lot more protective of the Star Wars world, and I'm sure they are in a lot of ways.
They're famously protective of the
But
light.
to see that they're willing to have people, sit down in front of them and say, look, we like this idea of the Star Wars world going this way. What do you think of that? And I'm sure they had the ultimate say, but to know that they had a lot of creative license, it's kind of cool.
How long is this campaign going to be? How long is it going to take us?
Well, they said it was going to be between 5 and 7 hours, depending on the difficulty.
Okay. So already right now, a lot of people are thinking that sucks.
Yeah, that's not very long, but as I said, I feel like it's just a snippet. It's kind of like, I honestly feel like it's going to answer a lot of questions for hardcore Star Wars fans of what happened between that, those two movies. I think that's what people are going for.
But
so when you say,
sorry, go on.
I was going to say when you say people might go for harder difficulties, maybe, but it's such a the narrative felt so strong in this. That's what I felt like. I think that's what was really.
Carrying
it and the main focal point. What I'm saying is I don't think you want to go back again and again for the feeling of the game, but I think you want to go there to experience the world of Star Wars and come away from that going, okay, I've learned more about Star Wars. I loved it, and in my personal opinion, it felt like a very, very polished narrative. So in that regard, I was very pleasantly surprised to see that they're actually putting so much effort into it, and I think they want this game to stand out, not only for some multiplayer, but they really want people to see it as its own narrative within the Star Wars world.
That's good. And I mean, I think that it's important to recognize that this is a multiplayer game. So a lot of people would look at 7 hours and think, what a rip-off, $60 for a 7-hour campaign.
Yeah, it's an add-on.
You're really not getting... That's not what this is. You're buying a multiplayer-focused game that also happens to have a 6 to 7 hour campaign on it. And if the story is as good as you've described, then that could actually be pretty great. The Destiny campaign was pretty garbage, by the way. And that was about 10 hours or so.
That's a perfect example, actually, where it's such a Destiny 2 had such a generic feel to it, and Star Wars could have easily fell into the trap of there's so many stories that have been told now from Star Wars. It could have just been such a here comes a new bad guy. But the way that they carried themselves already in the 2 or 3 hours that I've played of that campaign, I haven't finished the whole thing, but enough 2 or 3 hours gave me a good taste of it. It just felt like it was innovative, but it was still true to its Star Wars core. So I really like that.
So do the loot boxes that are famous for corrupting the multiplayer side of it have any impact on the single player side?
I did ask that actually in the interview, and all he said was no.
Okay, so loot boxes have no impact on the single player game here, which is good news.
That's right, nothing.
And does any of your single player progression carry over to multiplayer?
No, it doesn't. I actually asked that too. I said, what kind of impact does the single player mode have on the multiplayer mode in terms of, experience or abilities that you learn? He said pretty much nothing. He did say, though, you would get a sense of familiarity in terms of what abilities...
Like gameplay and build
gameplay
abilities.
Gameplay abilities, characters, I guess, that you might be able to play in the multiplayer, be it Jedis or all that kind of stuff like that. So in that respect, yeah, that's pretty much the only thing that's going to carry over. So I was really impressed, and this is definitely a game that I'm not just going to play multiplayer. Definitely, I'm actually going to be finishing that whole single player 100%.
Well, and it's funny you say that because I actually had planned to play the multiplayer, but I will not play the multiplayer now.
You're probably just play the single player.
I will just play the single player because I just, again, coming back to what I said at the start of this video, what they've done on the multiplayer side, I just think is so shit that I don't want any part of that anymore.
Yeah.
I'm happy to play this game for the single player because I'd like to be able to support what Motive have done. If they produce a really good campaign here, then I want to see that firstly, and I want to support their work, 100%. Right? But at the same time, like the multiplayer stuff, I was pumped for. I won't touch that now because there's just it's too disappointing. It's too far.
I will play. I will play multiplayer, but as I said, just the depth of what they've tried to achieve here. Even in the cutscenes, the facial features, how they come alive. And there's a lot of intimate scenes already, and there's a lot of tension in some of the scenes. There's just a really good. It's not. How you've played a lot of games and the story might be really strong, but there's no facial reactions in those cutscenes, and it does
Andromeda.
Yes, and it does take a cut. It does take a bit of a toll.
Completely destroys the experience, maybe.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying, right?
My face is tired.
So in this regard, for them to have this, it was very, very good. I was very, very pleased with it. For sure.
All right, cool. Well, that's good news. You're seeing footage on screen, obviously, throughout this. We've got the B-roll here rolling, which is nice. So it comes out like early in November, I suppose. Obviously, it's a very controversial game. There's no doubt about it. But I'm really keen for a single-player Star Wars experience. I'm keen to check out the single-player side. The multiplayer side, thank you. But single-player, if it continues to deliver like Sam has described and like it looks in the footage, then that's going to be pretty good. Anyway, that's it, guys. Thanks very much for watching.